No, I'm gonna do a very racist, very long story.
Oh my God,
I have
I
to
can't
pivot
wait.
straight up.
Can't wait. Straight up.
I'm in the kitchen of an Airbnb that I've rented with my wife in Casablanca, Morocco. I'm waiting for the coffee to brew. She's downstairs taking a shower. She has a work event in about 30 minutes. There's a knock at the door. I open the door, and there's a really upset-looking man looking at me, and he's sweating a lot. And then he starts shouting at me in Arabic, words that I don't understand. And he hands me a letter that I cannot read. And then he turns around and just disappears down the stairwell like that. I close the door. My wife screams. So I run down the stairs, and I see her, and she's covered in soap and shampoo. And she tells me, Danny, the water's been cut off. So I text the Airbnb host, and I let her know when we rented the place, we kind of thought it had consistent running water included in the bill. She says, don't worry, Casablanca is going through these rolling blackouts. It's in a drought, and so just randomly the city picks an apartment and you don't get water. It'll be fine. It'll come back on in a day or so. It's just part of the African experience, she tells me. I reply on WhatsApp and said, you're a big fucking liar. That's because on my phone I have an app. The app's called Google Translate. It translates the Arabic into English, and it says, hey, asshole, pay your water bill, and we'll keep your water on. I can't help but wonder, how do we get in this place? Well, in reality, a few weeks ago, we've been planning for the perfect 2-week trip to Morocco. And the thing about my wife, she's a public health expert. So that brings us overseas. She's speaking at a conference. So we begin in Marrakesh. And then it's a camel ride, sleeping under the stars in the Sahara Desert. We visit this blue city called Chouan. And then we spend a night in a centuries-old 3-story riad in the walled Medina of Fez. And as relationships evolve over time, they take on identities, I've learned. And Miriam and I, we're in a kind of relationship where we don't do gifts for birthdays or holidays. We've decided that we believe that experience is the best kind of gift. And so there's nothing better than making memories with people that you love. We looked at least 1,000 different apartments before picking this Airbnb. And we chose it because of 3 reasons. There was 1,400 5-star reviews. The host was obsessed with cleanliness and hospitality. And it had a terrace on the 7th floor with panoramic views of the city of Casablanca. Now, I should have known when we got there the first day that we were in for trouble. We got inside the apartment. We rushed to the terrace. We get to the door. The door's ajar. I try to close it. It doesn't close. I try to lock it. It doesn't lock. And because of this, there's thousands of creeping and crawling and flying bugs carrying God knows what disease inside the duplex. And so I text the Airbnb host, the one who's obsessed with cleanliness and hospitality. And I let her know that we have unwanted guests and the door doesn't close. And she says, don't worry. This is the first time I'm hearing about the door. We'll sort it out. We'll get rid of the pests. Why don't you go out and have a meal? We're tired. We're hungry. It's the second to last day of our Moroccan adventure. So we step outside to have authentic tagine one last time. Because part of making experiences, we're the type of couple that we want to do traditional authentic. So we never stay at the Marriott. We don't eat KFC, and we don't go to McDonald's when we travel around the world. So we stop at the first authentic restaurant that we can find. We have the tagine. The meal's lovely. The food is wonderful. The staff is warm and kind. But I got to tell y'all, it's not the cleanest place I've ever eaten. We get home, the door closes. The insects, they're gone. And so we go to sleep. Wake up the next day, Miriam has a work event in 30 minutes. So she hops in the shower. I'm on coffee duty, so I go up to the kitchen, and it's in the same exact moment we find out the water's been cut off. I run down the stairs. I say, don't worry, Miriam. I'll grab some gallon jugs of water at the corner store. So I sprint out of the apartment, and I sprint back in the apartment because last night, I've got to tell you, we gambled. and I lost. I finish my business in the toilet, I go to flush, and I'm reminded that the water's been cut off. I've got shit to deal with later. I run out of the apartment, down the stairs, to the corner store, buy water, back to the apartment, rinse off my wife. She goes to the work event, and it's between bouts of Tajine's revenge that I get a refund for my AirBNB, and I book us a more suitable accommodation. I've got the riskiest 10-minute walk of my life ahead of me. But don't worry, between a combination of positive visualization, straight up affirmations, and clenched butt cheeks, I arrive at the hotel. I have never been so happy to stay somewhere so average, so utterly unremarkable. But this place is clean, and it's got AC, and the water still works. So Miriam and I, we end our trip at the Marriott. And it's over burgers and tacos and wine instead of tagine and olives and mint tea. We're scrolling through our pictures, reliving the last 2 weeks in Morocco. And it's in that moment that I realize that there's not a toy, there's not a watch or a car that Miriam could buy me that would be a better gift than this experience, this memory that I made with her. And even though it was hard, and even though it was really frustrating, and even though it was really, really shitty at times, it's a gift, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Danny Bauer.